Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Books and Betches. I'm Kristen, and with me I have
Erica.
Maria.
And Erica's daughter.
And Sawyer.
Sawyer's here.
She's at our feet, so if you hear
The crinkle.
the crinkles or the...
It's usually the Xena with a crinkle or the baby with a crinkle.
Yeah, that's going to be adorable in the background. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice that the set is different. We changed, and we're going to change again, so don't get used to it, but no more couch. We're now at a table.
Yeah.
Our backs are very grateful.
We're too old for the
Yeah.
to be in a couch.
We're in our 30s, like, we're done with couches.
Honestly, have you seen other podcasts that like sit in couches or chairs? Nobody looks comfortable. I don't think anybody that sits in a couch on
I feel like the
on
ones
their
that
podcast.
do like the
youngins.
canceled podcasts.
Oh.
I think like they sit like
But
facing
they
each other on
hold,
chaises.
they hold their
They
microphones.
do hold their mics.
I think that makes the difference, because you can lean back and chill. And whatever. Well,
They just sit however they want to sit, and they just hold their microphone.
Right. We're still figuring this out 5 years later. So if you're watching on YouTube, that's what's happening. This is a book podcast. We swear, we spoil, we talk about sex, we suck at podcasting, which explains everything, and you can't be mad at us. That's the disclaimer. This week, we're doing something new, something we haven't done in a while.
Memoir?
I was going to say, is it a memoir, or what's the difference between an autobiography?
I think you write yourself,
Autos
but
and
biographies.
No, but didn't she speak it out loud to somebody and somebody else wrote it?
She
dictated it?
Oh, yeah.
She did dictate it, yes.
So
She
it's her
dictated
words, but somebody else wrote them down.
What's the fucking difference?
You're not, you could be on set working and then be like, this is my story, instead of sitting at a computer typing it, right? I would love to do that.
I'm searching.
If I had a writer
What's
and I
the
could just tell him my
difference
story, that sounds great.
between A memoir
I guess.
and a...
I just don't know. Like, did she say it to this lady and this
Yes.
lady wrote it better?
I think it's a
Okay,
dude.
hold on. An autobiography chronicles an individual's entire life, often in chronological order, while a memoir focuses on a specific period, theme, or event within a person's life. Autobiographies aim to provide a comprehensive account of the person's life story.
So this is an autobiography.
While memoirs offer a more personal and often emotionally driven reflection on a particular aspect of a person's experiences.
Okay, so we'll call this an autobiography. Lucille Ball, one of my favorite comedian actresses, like human beings of all time. You know when people ask you that age-old question, if you can have dinner with anybody in the world,
It's
dead
living or
alive,
dead, yeah.
I always say Lucille Ball.
You have.
Every time. Because she's a genius. She changed how we watch TV. She is a pioneer. She's a woman in film and media who has like done such good for our industry.
She's one of the original and greatest like comedy, like physical actors.
Yes.
The only other one that I think even potentially rivals her is like a Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Like a physical
Well,
like,
Carol
comedy.
Burnett, I guess around that time.
Like,
Carol Burnett came after.
But like when you think of like physical comedy, actors, it's her and Jim Carrey. And he was
Robin Williams, but
No, who's
Robin
the original?
Williams, maybe.
Not Chapel. Who's the? You know who I'm talking about?
With the guy?
Yes.
Yeah, with the mustache. Why can we not think?
Why
of his
can't I
name?
think of his
We like
name?
studied him in film school.
What's his name?
Oh,
Charlie
man.
Chaplin?
Charlie
Chaplin.
Chaplin. How many people were yelling at that?
So
No, I
okay,
hear you, yeah.
I watched this like for the love of TV or something like that. It was like
You
a
have mentioned this
multi-series.
before.
Yeah.
And like they broke it down by like TV and like basically they talked about how Lucille like broke barriers down
Yes.
and like what it was on TV and like having
They're the
a
reason
different
multiple
type of
cameras
household,
exist.
multiple cameras.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that, which is really cool. So basically like they changed the way they like recorded like sitcoms and like what was seen on TV. And like, that's what I really liked about this book.
Were they the
Why are
first
we
to have
screaming?
a live audience?
I don't think they were the first to have
they
like
had-
a full live audience, but they were like the revolutionizing.
To record
of
like a
how-
sitcom though.
I don't know.
Live audience. It made it sound in the book as
Google
if...
that.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be
We
the Googler.
We have a table now. We can Google.
I don't want to be the Googler.
I guess I didn't mention the name of the book though.
I Love Lucy.
No, it's called Love Lucy.
Love Lucy.
It's interesting because when you look up like Lucille Ball memoirs or autobiographies, you'll find a lot of different books. People have written about her. This is the only book that...
the foreword. So the foreword was the best part because it was her daughter basically saying like, nobody knew about this book that existed. What I thought was really interesting and it's kind of like one of the biggest takeaways I took from this is like when our parents die, we can go through their shit and throw everything away. When somebody famous like this dies, she's like, I couldn't throw away a single glove because it could have been artifact in time that like could get donated or, you know, be part of a museum exhibit or if you think about how much
I was
stuff
overwhelmed just hearing her say that.
you accumulate and then how much, especially like the stuff that they talked about that like she just had mansions full of shit. They indulged in their wealth too.
The first sitcom to be filmed in front of a live audience was I Love Lucy.
No way.
Yeah.
They said it in the book, and I was like, yeah, because they're like, what do you mean? They had to build the bleachers and like,
you're right.
There was no that had not had been done. That was like no precedence for it.
So when you go to LA, you could do a tour at Paramount Studios. Like they have the lot and really cool. I did this tour with like a bunch of my friends. We're like, let's do the Paramount lot tour. And they drive you around in a golf cart and you get to see all these things. And they go to the section where Lucille and her husband and Desi were filming I Love Lucy. And she planted her own tree and like you get to see like this little like field where she was. She hired a whole bunch of like women and stuff to help write, and they were showing where all of her offices were. It was just one of the coolest experiences where I was like, oh, Lucille Ball was like standing here and being like, all right, we're taking over TV. Like this is what we're doing. And it's just like such an interesting story.
So are we doing 6 seconds or not?
I don't think we can. Right?
Yeah, it's her life.
Yeah, it's her life in 6 seconds.
So let's talk about
Can we try to talk about the whole book?
Let's do like an overview. Okay. So I mean the book, like we said at the beginning, was her talking to somebody who was writing this down. Nobody knew that she was writing a book.
Which is insane.
She didn't tell anyone.
Right.
And this was tucked away.
And didn't tell anybody that it existed at any point either. So like she dies and her daughter discovers it amongst many things and is like, what is this?
Isn't that the coolest thing?
Yeah. And reads it, has no idea any of this stuff even happened to her mother, and then has to call a bunch of people, send it over to those people, have them read it and be like, is this really what happened? Probably authenticate, you know what I mean? Like all of this, right? Yeah. Because like before you could publish it, like whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? I wonder if she wanted it published though.
I don't know.
Or do you think she just like forgot about it?
She might have just forgot about it, to be honest.
No, I think she mentioned that she felt like she reached a point where she didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah. I think it was like either something happened with Desi, they had like sort of, you know, they divorced and stuff. So I feel like she was feeling a little weird about putting her account out there without him able to
that was a big
speak his part as well.
It did kind of end with like their
it ended with them divorcing and so because she didn't keep writing it until like she stopped writing it. I think it was in the 60s, right?
I think so. Yeah,
like late 60s when she was like she stopped.
I didn't realize it took her so long to get to I Love Lucy.
Yeah, right? I want to talk about her whole journey. So if you want to read this book, it's a very easy read, but also Audible
audiobook.
Her daughter,
oh my god,
narrates
another level,
and she sounds just like her mom, which is
unreal.
Insane.
And she's good.
Has the mannerisms. Have like honestly, just the open itself like brought me in because she speaks from her own perspective about finding the manuscript. But we dive into Lucy's story. First of all, her dad died when he was 28 and her mom was 23. And like they were very young when they had her. And I was just like, can you fucking imagine like just being that young, being the mom as a 23-year-old and you have a kid and you have nobody to, I think she was like 19 or something when she had her. That was wild. They also bought a $2,000 home. Can we talk about that?
Insane.
Hearing how much the houses cost back then was just like making me so angry. I was like, oh yeah.
Even the ones that were like extravagant houses, I'm like, that's all it costs?
$2,000, sign me up. But back then that was a lot of money, which is crazy.
It was, her like childhood stuff was like really sad to hear because it was like kind of tragedy after tragedy for her, like, oh my gosh, bad, the like situations. Thing? Yeah, the shooting thing. So basically, like her uncle, grandpa.
She called her grandpa daddy because
because they like raised her. Yeah. But this kid, like, they were like practicing shooting, and this kid like randomly got up and got like shot and paralyzed.
He ran in front.
He ran in front and like paralyzed him, and then they
lost everything.
Sued him, and they lost everything. I definitely didn't realize how many times she got told no.
Yeah.
Like it was at the beginning. Like it was like, you're not good enough in school. You're not good enough to do this. You're bad on Broadway. You're not that funny. You're not that pretty. Like it was just, I was like, I think people would give up after 1/10 of some of these.
I mean,
like,
look at Meryl Streep too. Meryl Streep was given no's for a lot of her career.
And even like she was blonde for a long time, which I didn't know. And like she became a coat model for a while.
That was the crazy thing to me, being like a clothing model and she just wears the clothes out. And I'm like, can I do that? I want to wear clothes.
Right? She had some wild jobs.
She had some crazy jobs. She had some just like, I cannot believe how like just resilient she was.
I think that would be, if I had to like pick one word to describe this whole book, it would definitely be that, which like was very inspiring for me. The reason I love this book so much, it like really resonates with me because my grandparents, my grandpa was a performer and so was my grandma, and they used to like travel around and perform for sick people.
I didn't know this.
My grandma had a stage name, Phyllis Carr, which is why she named my mom Phyllis. And
oh my God.
when my grandpa was dying, he lost his wife early on. I was like, Grandpa, I got a book for you. It's I Love Lucy, or the Love Lucy book. And I gave it to him. And I didn't know any of this at the time. And he read it in like a day. And he was like, thank you so much. That was the best book I ever read. So now reading it myself, I was like, he must have made so many connections. Like he must have been like, I know what it was like going through. Because he went through a lot of this stuff too. But I mean, all of our grandparents probably suffered and went through like turmoil and, didn't have money.
I mean, back then it was such a different, like, poverty was different.
It was.
Poverty was different.
I mean, this was
like
the Great Depression. Yeah.
Well, but this is when the American dream was created, right? Like you work hard and eventually like
you get the house with the picket fence.
And that's died since, but like it's kind of interesting to kind of look back at the period of time when it was alive. And like, I guess that's like maybe why people were more resilient back then, is because like there was like this light at the end of the tunnel that like, if you just keep working hard, like it'll happen.
But also
eventually.
they just didn't have a choice.
She was kind of a hard ass too, though, Lucille Ball.
How many people fucking proposed to her? She must have mentioned 5 times.
Yeah.
Also, her mom seemed pretty badass. Like, I love that she told a story about when she got caught smoking, and her mom goes, all right, and gave her a pack of cigarettes and made her smoke every single one over and over and over until she got sick. And she goes, I never picked up another cigarette again. And I was like, yo, it works. If it works, it works. No, but I just think, there was also this story too where she was talking about her makeup artist. She got really mad at her makeup artist and she threw a coffee at them and it almost hit Audrey Hepburn. And I was like, okay, casual, just name drop Audrey Hepburn. And I love that. There's a lot of stuff like that where I think she just had to be, like you said, really resilient and tough. And she got sick a lot.
She did. There was so much. But back then, like you couldn't just have like amoxicillin for stuff. You know what I mean? Like there was no.
Oh my gosh. Something? Hi, Sawyer.
Yeah, you got a lot to say. Sorry about this, guys. There was no ability to just like go like to the doctor and get a script and like a Z-Pack and like just go home. You know what I mean?
Like, also, the physical comedy she was doing is just very taxing on your body.
True.
Especially towards the end, she like got like really, really sick. I couldn't believe she had kids at like 40.
Yeah.
She had,
because she was struggling to have kids.
But like, which is kind of crazy because like that time period was not really common to have kids that late.
No, definitely not. Also, the Great Depression. She touched on like the politics, which I thought was really interesting. That her was it her grandfather or somebody was like a radical left-wing communist.
Yeah,
and he was having meetings in the garage.
And she got caught up in it. And she was like,
it kind of happened like basically like Oppenheimer thing, and she was having her own like trial.
Yeah,
I thought that was
I'm not a communist.
I was trying to compare that to like today. And the amount of like actors that are like, no, I'm not a Trumper. Like, don't associate me with that. Or like, you know what? It's very, I think that things are full circle. Everything.
The Red Scare was a little different because it was like, they called it like treason, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, you got fucking
we might be
imprisoned.
We might be on our
way. At this point.
Like I said, everything's a circle. Even like Great Depression, right? The way the economy's going, the fact that like baseball is now on an uptick, women's sports is becoming more popular. These are all things that happened.
Someone
during the Great Depression.
Was it you guys sent it, or maybe Megan sent it to me, like a reel about how the recession happens when there are vampire movies coming out?
That's wild.
So, it's also kind of weird. When there's like times of war, there's more boys that are born. Because like your body like knows.
No, what?
Yeah,
that can't be real.
There's like actual data for it.
No, that's not.
I kid you not. And
you're gonna tell me the human body knows that there's more war happening and only boys get to go?
Just times of turmoil, like stress and like
So boys bring stress.
I'll believe anything these days. I think that we're all perceiving reality different, so it's fine.
I mean, I agree with that. A lot of people are very delusional today.
I know like 10 people that are pregnant right now. They're all having boys.
Really?
I don't know one girl other than your sister.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm just having a girl.
We're headed. That's it. That speaks volumes.
Let's go, family. The one girl coming
And
in.
actually, girls are 55% more likely
What do you mean? For what?
to have a girl versus a boy.
Yeah, we're all girls.
So
My dad's like, even the dogs came out girls. So
I mean, the radical opinions that her grandfather had were very sane opinions that people have today. Which is
it just sounded so normal.
The maids are underworked. They deserve a higher wage. That's crazy. You should be in jail.
I'm gonna make all the carpenters. I'm gonna have a union. It's like,
what?
Yeah.
Unheard. And then I love how Lucille Ball was just like, no, I'm not a communist. I'm not a communist. I think she was very conservative. She had a very close relationship.
She was in the book. She said she's conservative.
She's a very close relationship to God. However, I think if she was alive today, her definition of conservatism would be a lot different than what
I think
conservatives
it
are.
is different.
I do too. Yeah.
In general.
No,
so,
I totally agree. Yeah.
But I think the book in and of itself was like such a cool peel behind the curtain because I didn't know all these things. Like you kind of know Lucille Ball from like I Love Lucy and stuff, right?
Oh my
like
God,
you know,
my favorite show of all time.
I mean that show is like
I don't think I've ever watched an entire episode.
You should watch it.
I liked how they didn't go too much into it. Like
so
it was
I thought
just
the book got so good when we got into
TV.
that time, like
the
when
TV
she was
period,
yeah.
but it wasn't so much about the show.
No,
It was more like the everything around it.
it's interesting because I've watched every episode of I Love Lucy. I
Same,
have
of course,
all of them
yeah.
on DVD. It's like one of my favorite
Nope.
shows of all time. I forget the
But
one.
I've watched Sábado Gigante a lot.
So yeah, you have a different, very
Whole different grow up period.
I mean, Desi Arnaz is like his story of being from Cuba
crazy.
and like everything
Yeah.
he went
Crazy.
through. I mean, he grew up really wealthy, but they lost everything and they were forced to leave to flee.
Also, like super wild. I like didn't realize how like spicy their relationship was.
Oh,
like how it was,
Latinos, baby,
super,
we're
like,
spicy.
Dude,
like
he
super
is
toxic.
spicy.
and,
we
like-
bring the spice.
I didn't
But
know
like
that
they
either.
clearly like loved each other
No,
so
but
much.
I've heard that. Well, from what I've heard of Lucille and like her like life story, they weren't like super, healthy.
They weren't friends. Like she said, we didn't like each other before we loved each other. And that was the issue. And I thought that was really interesting. Like they didn't have a real friendship before they started being together. Like I think they built their relationship more on
like lust and like just
yes.
I mean, they
caught
got
up
married
in it
so
and-
fast.
Yeah.
And they were like kind of forced to be together all the time anyway. And he was very passionate businessman. That was like his thing. He was a businessman.
But he also like money corrupts and he became kind of like wayward in some ways and like
I loved Ethel's stories too. Like Ethel and
Yeah.
what's his name on the show? I forget who plays her husband. But they hated each other in real life.
it's so funny.
And like it kind of shows on screen.
I think so.
But also she mentioned how like people were so excited about I Love Lucy because he would give it to her in the show, right? And men would write in and be like, I wish I could talk to my wife like that and stuff. I'm like, man, that is the age-old boomer mentality of like, they all ball and chain. And I'm so glad that we're getting away from that. Like, we really are. There is an era of men who are
Still
not
want that.
afraid.
There's still some that want that.
I think we're regressing.
I don't know. I see so many more men, at least in like my circle. So maybe I'm just in a bubble, but like that love and care about their wives. And
I think we're seeing a really big divide of people.
That's true.
I think you had like apathetic, like I think like our generation of parents, like of those boomers, like they weren't as bad as this generation, as like the gen before, where like it was like you'd beat your wife and cheat on her and whatever. And it wasn't like boomer, or it wasn't like
There's
Mad
no
Men.
respect.
It wasn't like Mad Men-esque where you're cheating on your wife every other day or whatever. Like my parents have a respectable relationship. You know what I mean? But like, how many diapers did my dad change? How many diapers did like John's uncles change? Like, you know what I mean?
True,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know that that's nearly as much as John has done or our, generation of men have done.
That's true.
So it's like, there's that. But I think that there are a lot of men out there that now want to go back to that lifestyle because they don't want to be the sole provider either. So you can't
That's
have both.
absolutely true.
We'll see how it goes in the next 10 years.
As a single one of the group, and
Yeah.
a lot of these men that want you to be like the wife and the mom, and then they're gonna do nothing at that house for you.
Yeah, fuck that.
God forbid they
Mike
wash
would never.
a dish.
Mike does all the cooking, so there you go.
The only way
Love
that you
Mike.
could do it is if you stay at home, and even then, that's still like a huge mental load because back then there wasn't 10 soccer practices and
True.
baseball games, and like it was like you barely played one sport a year, and it was through the school.
And she was lucky too that when she did have kids, she was more established and had money because she never had money growing up.
Yeah.
And then once she finally had money, she was like, okay, I can have people watch my kids. She had a nanny. And I think that like probably made things a lot easier for them because it could have been much worse. I love the stories too of her friendship with the woman who plays Ethel, who I cannot think of her name for the life of me right now. And I'm sorry.
I got you.
But she told a story of when they were on set and she had to like go in the water and she ended up almost drowning. And Ethel, not breaking character, reached in and like saved her life. And then she went to grab the microphone.
Vivian Vance.
Vivian. And then she went to grab the microphone and her new husband now, later on, was like, don't touch that microphone. And so she almost died twice. And she's just sitting there smiling through it and like had to like keep acting. And that's what I feel like she did a lot of, was just like, she was so good at it and just keep going.
Ben and grin and bear it.
Yeah, that was the whole book. Did you hear the part about like Franconia, New Hampshire though?
Yeah.
That was the one time she did not grin and bear it, where they went up to, we're from that. Well, you're from
I'm from New Hampshire. Yeah.
I lived there for a little bit. I like to say I'm from New Hampshire, even though I'm not. But the Franconia, they went up to this cabin and they were like, this sucks. There's snow and it's cold. We're going back to New York. And I thought that was so funny. I was like, Lucille, you're from the East Coast. What happened? You live
It is funny when you listen to books and stuff about the area that you're from.
It's so cool.
Because like they're talking about like Greenwich.
Yeah, the fact they got married in Greenwich.
Yeah, that was
They're
wild.
talking about stuff where you're like, I go there every day.
Yep.
I drive by there every day. Like it's just kind of funny.
And history happened here. How cool is
yeah,
that?
it's like, it's so weird to like stand where other people have stood that like at the time. I don't know. Like I think about that. I live in like the Hudson Valley, which is obviously Revolutionary War time. Like, so like some of the buildings, architecture, some of the walls, like were from like the inception of this country. Like it's weird to think about. Like obviously there's older things too, like, you know, Native American stuff, but just some of the American history.
It's interesting. I always say one of the things that I wish I could have in life is like to be able to put on glasses and like pick a time and then you could see what was happening.
See what was
like I would love to stand in I don't know, anywhere that I knew was a forest at one point in time or something and just like turn it on and see if there was dinosaurs walking by at that time. But like you can't affect what's happening around you. Just somebody invent that, please. Thanks. AI, are you out there? Please.
No.
I know, it's terrible. And then the last story I wanted to talk about because I thought it was so funny was when she was getting really famous and she was like, I started going to New York and people recognized me. It was so weird. And she was going to these shows, these Broadway shows, and she went to like 3 of them and she would turn around and people would recognize her. And she was like, wow, this is so bizarre. And she met up with her friend to go to a Broadway show and she was telling her friend, hey, just so you know, when we go out, I'm getting recognized now. And the friend was like, no way, what? And she was like, yeah, I mean, like, no big deal, but like people like know who I am. And she was like, I was kind of feeling it. I liked it. And then she went to the show and she goes, you wouldn't believe it, but nobody recognized me. And I'm looking around, I'm like, so I was like, you know what? This is shameless, but I'm going to stand up. And she's like, so I stood up and she's like, I'm looking around. Nobody noticed me. And I sit back down and my friend is over there laughing her ass off. And I was like, that is so funny. And so like, I love Lucy Coded. I don't know.
She was funny. Like the stuff that was written was funny and like was also like really, I mean, again, like I don't really know how it was written, whether she wrote it or like just dictated it and somebody else like made it better. But like the storytelling of it was really smart and like light and funny and like she didn't like stay on things too long.
Yeah, I was gonna say it moved quickly through things. It
really
like
well done of like we weren't like stuck in a time period or a moment too long.
I agree. And I loved all the Desi stuff. I thought like their relationship was really interesting. I love Desi Arnaz. I think he's a genius as well and did a lot for...
Does he have an autobiography or a biography?
I don't think so.
because the daughter did mention like, oh, there's another side to this.
Yeah, I don't think he.
But I didn't think it was that bad, like what she said.
No, and they remained friends, and like she even said when she met her new husband, she was like, "We started as friends. I liked him, and then we got to that. We're like, I just didn't have that with Desi, but." They played golf together. Desi and the new guy played golf together.
I thought the deathbed thing was really sweet.
What was that?
How when Desi was on his deathbed, the daughter called Lucy. It made me cry. It's gonna make me cry.
I know. I teared up
don't
the whole
cry.
time. It was
like,
beautiful.
oh my God.
The whole book I thought was really well done.
Is this him? I guess he wrote a book called The Book.
A book?
Desi Arnaz?
I guess so.
I don't know if he wrote it though.
This informative book by Desi Arnaz is outspoken memoirs of Ricky Ricardo, the man who left Lucy.
Oh, so it's about his character, maybe.
Oh.
I don't know.
Published
It.
1976.
It was also like I would like kind of like looked up a couple clips afterwards, and like it must have been like a couple days after he died. He like obviously he wrote the letter before, but like he was getting awarded for something, and he wrote a letter, and it was just like so like nice to Lucy, and it was like it's crazy how you can be in relationships and like there is a possibility for like you to not hate your ex.
Yeah. There's so many people that are
It's got to
doing
be
that
adults,
out there.
man, especially if there's kids involved.
But you just see it not like that
I
so
know,
often.
I know. But you have to, yeah, especially with kids, like you said, you have to be able to like put them first and put your relationship and like turmoil aside if you want. Like those kids did not choose to be here. You know what I mean? Like you brought them into this world. The least you could do is give them a healthy out. All right. Well, should we do more autobiographies? I don't know anybody else that's as interesting that I care about. So many people brought up Matthew McConaughey and all these things, and I'm like, I don't know if
Green
I care.
lights.
I don't know.
I don't know if I'm a memoir kind of gal.
I loved this, to be honest. I ripped through this.
I don't know if I would be down with it just because I feel like not that everyone else's life sucks, but it's like there's oh, you're crying.
That is something. That's a good point because she always said like she made a point where why should we why should we focus on the bad stuff? That was like her whole thing. She's like, I don't want people to feel bad. Like she never wanted to be a victim, and I love that.
It was just like not. She told everything so factually instead of like.
She even said she was like your hardships are boring. She said something like that, and I was like, oh, I kind of love that. Like hell
like
yeah.
she was just saying it what it was and not like to be like this sucked for me.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
And I don't know if other people do that. I'm just not like a huge autobiography fan.
It depends on what it is.
I'm not
for me.
either. I don't. And I'm the same way when it comes to like interviews too. Like if I even,
I
no matter
hate
who it
interviews.
is, I don't sit here and like clamor to hear people talk about themselves.
I don't either.
I don't know. I just don't really care.
I don't care about like celebrities, but if it's a story that I know is going to inspire me, like I know Lucille Ball is like a revolutionary person, right? And I was like, okay, this might make me want to create something. This might inspire me to find passion somewhere. And like that's
like
kind of
Matthew McConaughey. He could have a great story. He could have a great autobiography. I love his voice. I think he's a good actor. I like his movies. I don't give a shit what happened in his life.
I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
He's not.
I'll read your autobiography.
I wouldn't read my own. I wouldn't write my own. It's boring. You're right. Like it's boring.
I don't know. I'm not. This was fine for me. Again, since I didn't grow up with Lucy. Yeah. For me, it was very much like, okay, cool, fun. I love the pioneering. I love hearing what she did.
Yeah,
with the industry.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool and hearing that side of it. But otherwise, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Fair. Totally fair. Well, I'll pass the question. Oh my God, that was so Phil. I just did Philip. Let me pass the question off to you guys.
Stop watching him.
Do you love autobiographies?
Leave a comment down below.
Leave a comment down below. Let us know. No, for real though, if there's an autobiography that you're just like, you don't understand, this one will change your life, then maybe send it my way. I'll read it. They go quick for me. Not them. I'm not putting it on you guys.
I like it as an audiobook too.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much for being here. If you have anything you want to tell us, just go to our Instagram, books_n_Betches, BETCHES. Click the link in the link tree.
She's just staring
Subscribe on YouTube.
They can't see you in this angle.
YouTube?
YouTube.
Dude, my dad the other day.
Really? I love him.
He goes, YouTube.
Oh, that's amazing.
YouTube.
Thank you so much for being here. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.